Hey, you notice the black face and no identification of me. I would actually prefer if you just called me your cellular twin because, I have this belief that in about 5,000 years from now, as long as there was no mummification or anything kind of abnormal going on, you and I would actually look identically the same from a cellular level. So I do believe we all are one and we're all, we all are the same person. The Church of Now started in 1995 after hearing the word utopia in my first elective in my first year of university in the first week, that second week in September, and I heard the word utopia, first time I'd ever heard it, and I was pretty well read, and the prof said, when I asked him what it was, I thought he said Fruitopia, and he's utopia is a state where all humans live together and work together happily in a state of joy and abundance in a sustainable manner. And I said, well, that's a pretty flippin' cool idea. Why don't we start with that, or why aren't we working towards that? And he said, good question. So the sociology class was amazing. He started off the class it was an hour-long class, 3 days a week, and he'd start off the class by coming into the classroom, put his coffee cup down, and he would say some of the most outrageous, crazy things about rather sensitive topics. Kind of sensitive topics that have been the test of time, maybe like abortion, for example, or swearing at the kitchen table, that kind of thing. And he'd talk about these perspectives that had the whole class just like, whoa, prof's weird. And then basically that'd be it. And he's like, you gotta think. Other people's values and beliefs are different than yours, and that guides their norms and customs. You guys can talk about this topic, get into the groups which you would like to be in, you feel comfortable in, and after I'm going to pick 2 or 3 groups to have a conversation about your differences on the topic that I've introduced. And what happened was the same in every class. So like attract like. So geographically or culturally or religiously, groups of similar students started to gravitate towards each other, and then they formed their own little kind of debate team, and then they would argue for the rest of the class, the half class. Well, after about 2 months in, because I kind of went to all the classes. I was a farm kid. I grew up not really being close to anybody, so I got along with all of them. And I also talked to the prof a lot in the class because I was kind of sick and tired of hearing all these people fight about who's right, who's wrong, and really, I went to the prof and I'm like, what are you doing here, man? You trying to start war or what? And he said, no. But he's like, people got to learn to defend their principles. And that's what this is. Because after this class, it only gets harder as you get older. So if you're going to have a principle and you're going to have to defend it, you better learn how to defend it. And I love that because, Ray Dalio's book, Principles, which I highly recommend, it stands for exactly that. And I think Ray Dalio says, you could ask a politician his principles on a certain topic this week and then ask him on like a month later. And would they really be able to defend it? Maybe not, right? And so that's kind of something that you need to do, start working on your own principles. So the idea came from this observation that I had that all of these groups, as heated as the debates got, when you started to think about their intention for why they had those behaviors as a suggestion, which were based off their values and their beliefs, but the intention at the start, by and large, was all very similar, and for the most part, it was all very good. It was one of those things that there is no right or wrong or easy answer, and they were doing the best with what they had based on their beliefs and values, and that manifested into certain behaviors. But the intention, by and large, was to do better for their society or their culture or their community. And that's where the Church of Now idea came in, because I said, they're all kind of starting to kind of group towards religious affiliation, and that's where a lot of the people started and the group started to really solidify, was based on their religious similarities. And I thought to myself, the first human that ever had that touch of God, or that finally felt that, that sixth sense, or connected with his third eye, I imagine if he felt the way I felt, it was absolutely surreal. It was scary at first, and it was absolutely amazing later, and it's something I can never forget. And it happened actually just recently, like 2 years ago. But that person, I'm just wondering if they enjoyed that experience so much and found such a peace and tranquility out of finally connecting with that being that there's always that question, who's the higher power? What is it? What's the creator? That kind of thing. And it connected. And I wonder if he tried to start telling those people that he cared about or that he loved what he did or she did. Sorry, if I say he, she, I'm just saying person. What he or she did to get to the state to allow the acceptance and the reception of awareness of the higher being or the ultimate power. So what he maybe started doing was communicating. Now, I can guarantee one thing for sure, that anytime you have communication, you will always have the presence of miscommunication. Now, when you have miscommunication, you have misunderstanding. When you have misunderstanding, you have some of the unknown. And what do we do with the unknown? Well, we are fearful of the unknown. And how do we respond to fear? We respond aggressively, typically, out of fear. And look where we are now. Wars all around the world based on, a lot of it is based on like religious kind of fractions that are so far removed from what they're fighting about. It's kind of silly to even wonder what they're fighting about. But we have hate, we've got difference, we got prejudice, we got judgment, all based upon these ideas, maybe with grounded in religious influences on the cultural evolution of that specific culture. And I wonder if back before they all started branding off and writing their own book, maybe somebody wrote the Quran, and then there's the Bible, and then there's the other one, and then, there's all these different documents that profess to talk about the way to live the more pure life or live appropriately towards that religious belief. Times change. Language change. Right now you can just about write a whole book with emojis. So I wonder how relevant the language is of the scriptures that are being taught in the religious facilities. Nothing against them. Nothing at all against them. But all I'm saying is that there has the opportunity and the potential for misinterpretation. So the Church of Now is based upon the concept of journaling with an intent. Okay, journaling with intention and then reflection. So when you have your intention and you want to do this, and so far that's a good and noble goal, you go about doing it and you accomplish that goal. Well, let's say some of the behaviors that made you get there didn't quite make everybody feel that good. Maybe you had a negative vibratory effect on someone else as a result of your behaviors on pursuit of getting to your goal. So if you reflect, I recommend once a week going back, picking a few of your main behaviors or events that happened that week and ask yourself after the fact, okay, are there any other stakeholders that were involved that I wasn't considering at the time that I acted that way or that I did those behaviors? And if so, or even the ones I was aware of at that time, how do I perceive their current experience is as a result of my behaviors? Now, if they had a negative behavior, then my suggestion is that maybe your intention is still good and your goal is still the right goal. But because you caused a negative experience or a negative feeling or impression to another person, you need to perhaps adjust your behaviors to get to the same goal. Because if you could live your life, going throughout life, without making anyone ever feel bad, every time somebody thought of you or spoke with you or dealt with you, they had a positive feeling. You made them feel good. I think you'd be doing a pretty darn good job of living life. And I can't remember who said it, but somebody said this, and it always stuck in my head, that nobody's going to remember what you say or didn't say, do or didn't do, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And that is the core tenet of the Church of Now, that we can write our own Bible, because we may not know what's right or wrong at the time. And that changes. It's cyclical. But upon reflection, if you ask yourself that one question, did I cause a negative experience by anyone? And that's not to say that you can't give negative experiences. Tough love like a doctor kind of thing. It's never good to get stitches ripped out of you, but that's a negative feeling. But it's with the right intent, and it is what's necessary. So it's not always cut and dry. But when you're looking at what's morally right or wrong, and you have an opportunity to attain your goal or meet your objective without damaging or conflicting or making someone else feel bad, that's probably a better way to go about living your life as far as behavior is concerned. That's the idea of the Church Now. Now, it has evolved. I've been doing this for 20 years and studying this and writing about this. I love writing. I love talking. I love teaching. I love motivating. What's going on with the Church Now right now is a little bit more personal. It's kind of near and dear to my heart here, because I recently just moved to Kelowna and love the place. It's one of those things, we did not want to have a life that said, I wish I would have. And so we made the leap. We came to a place that we called heaven, and we actually bought a place where we looked for months. We couldn't find anything, and all of a sudden, out of the sky, we found heaven. It was one we could afford, barely, and but it had earning potential with a bed and breakfast, and we've always wanted to have a bed and breakfast because we like to intertwine the cultures of Taiwan and Canada, just because my one of my sons and my wife's from there, so we feel that these two countries connect really well together, and we want to be a bridge between that. And then we also really support local businesses. And that's, you know, kind of the bed and breakfast aspect of it. But what's happening right now is, you see, the guy that you're looking at, I know you can't see my face, but I did tell you my name, has had a net worth of about $3.5 million down to low less than $500 of cash here sitting on my desk. And credit cards maxed out. Accounts are in the negatives actually right now. And this is all a result of some pretty intense cybercrime. And, yeah, just a little over 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago. It's kind of hard to say. I'm still in shock. I haven't really come out and told anybody or really dealt with creditors. I found out I had 89,000 US dollars also removed from my possession. And then the website is gone, as are the customer service agents, as are the advisors, as are everything else. And so I am not asking for a sympathetic handout or a poor me handout, because that's not the way I roll. But I am asking for a little bit of attention, because what I have to offer you now, the way I look at a good deal is when a value exchange happens where you have something in excess of what I have and I have something in excess of what you don't have, and we do a change and we both feel good about it, you know. So I'm asking you for a little bit of money, but what I'm going to give you is worth way more than what I'm asking for. And I can guarantee that. But the other thing you're doing here is a lot bigger than I care to articulate right now, and it's going to be in another video. It's going to be in the Bad Channel video, because it talks about some of the negative things that I've been seeing in Kelowna, and then how I've been helping and how I've been having an impact. And I can tell you right now, I've had an impact in more than a dozen people's lives in the last year. And, you know, even if one of them sticks, that's good enough for me. That means I've lived a good life. So that's the Church of Now in a nutshell. The other thing we focus on is reviews. Okay, reviews, mainly from a Google review point of view. You know, I've over 6 million people have viewed my YouTube reviews. I'm number 1% in the Okanagan and several other areas in British Columbia, as well as several other provinces across Canada and some regions in Taiwan. I made a pact to myself about 3 years ago that I wouldn't spend $1 without doing a Google review, and I have not stopped. Now, when I was in the infancy of doing this, I did do negative reviews, and I called a spade and just threw it out there and gave them a 1 star. I've since taken that back and dialed that back, and now, you know, what I've realized is that instead of giving a negative review, I'd rather call the manager or the decision maker of that facility and say, hey, like, here's an experience that kind of went on here, and I just, you know, let's see if they can work with the acknowledgement of a negative experience, and if they can improve it, because I'd rather give everything positive. But the other thing about Google reviews is I hate giving 5 out of 5 stars, because I don't think anybody's perfect. So my Google reviews take a little different twist. So on the Google reviews, you get some pictures, you get some, you know, customer expectations clarified. But I also do it in Chinese, because the Chinese tourists coming to the Okanagan is a pretty big target market, and I think it's important. And they do have a little bit different expectations. So I understand that from my decade in Asia. But from a business owner or from an employee's point of view, you might have a 5 just because I was feeling good that day, but you probably want to go to the website and find out the 4.6 or 4.7 and how I came to that. I've got one review on a dollar store that I wasn't in that store for a minute, and it's 36 pages long. And it talked about organizational culture, product placement, and then also teamwork, which is absolutely just amazing. Blew me away in a dollar store. You know, I've got a vape shop here in Kelowna that literally could be offering a master's in business right out of their facility there. If you walked in there and studied that for about half an hour a day for 6 months, you would see some amazing business practices from a vape shop. Okay, so I review very honestly, very clearly, and my intentions of review are purely a portrayal of my experience to help others that are going to maybe shop there or be there clarify their own expectations, because that's kind of what happens when you have expectations that aren't set up right. That's where you get the breakdown, and now you're troubleshooting, you're backtracking. So I've had a very amazing career in sales by doing one thing, and that's transparency and clarity upon expectations. You get those two things dialed off before you even start selling, and all of a sudden your whole job got a lot easier. Your clients are a lot happier. Actually, I got rid of the word clients. I don't use clients anymore. I use the word stakeholders, because right now, if you're just going to use the client word or something like that, then you're probably going to have to compete with Amazon. You're going to be competing on price. So no matter what industry you're in or what you do, you might just want to start becoming a specialist in that, because then Amazon's not your competition, and Amazon shouldn't be your competition. They should be your biggest friend, because guess what? Just like the Art of War, Lao Tzu, keep your enemies close and your friends farther away, right? You know what I mean? Amazon's here to stay. Now, if you're going to fight with Amazon, I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably going to lose. I'd rather have them as my friend than my enemy. And the way you do that is add value above the price point that you can shop on Amazon. And that should be very easy to do if you know your customers and you know your products or your service. The Church Now is all about finding value, improving yourself, and is guided by this belief that we are all the same. And if we just, if we stop listening to the words and maybe listen to the actions, we'd realize we're a lot more like than what the geopolitical environment would suggest. And then there's this other guiding principle of mine that I believe that about 95% of the world's population are like the Walking Dead after the age of 30. They control 5% of the money in the world, and they sell time for money. And you go to a red light anywhere in the city in the morning and you look at the people that are driving to work and you ask yourself, how many of those people look like jacked up, ready to go, living life like a warrior? They're pumped, going to do what they're going to do. And you'll find out that there's not very many. And I do believe that is the way you're supposed to wake up. I think you're supposed to wake up living life like a warrior, chasing that God-given gift that you were given, if you want to go with God. But that skill that you have that you just absolutely love doing, even if you're not the best at it right now, but you love practicing it, you go all in all the time, and you will be the best at it because you love doing it that much. And then when you become good at it and you really start to hone that craft, you'll start to see that you'll be able to use that craft better than other people, and you'll be able to add value to their lives. And then you watch that money flow in the back door behind you. I believe that we are all here to be a hero, a genius, and a legend and live a life like a legacy. And right now we're all, 95% of us are selling time for money. And that is due to a detachment from internal motivation and lack of purpose. And it is nobody's fault. We got the negativity bias and we have the subconscious conscious mind, which happens. And after about the age of 7 years old, that old subconscious mind starts getting filled with some ideas that start with the word no or can't or impossible. Now, the subconscious mind does not put its own ideas there, but it sure as heck makes sure they come true. So I also focus a lot on meditation and how you can reprogram your subconscious mind. And yes, you can do it. Is it easy? No. Is it hard? No. Does it take effort and work? A little bit. Behavior-driven techniques that are proven to allow your subconscious mind to have new experiences, and maybe you could just stop self-sabotaging yourself and keep you in the state where we are right now, which is called comfort, because we all are lazy beings, you know that, right? And we like to stay comfort. Homeostasis keeps the blood pressure the same in the brain. And we have homeostasis as to what our social status is or who we think we are. Change is uncomfortable. It's messy in the middle. It's a little hard and difficult in the middle. And then it is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful in the end. That's a line from Robin Sharma. He's the guy that made me change my life and realize that I have to live doing what I love doing. Stop focusing on the money. And trust me, money was not a problem up until about 4 weeks ago. I walked away from $1 million a year earning opportunity and thought, things were good. Started helping people, didn't think anything of it. I am a little farm kid and I always forget about that dishonesty component, but he caught me this time. And I never saw the cybercrime coming. That one really took me off guard. So I hope that you can see some value in what I have to offer. There's going to be some reviews coming up for some companies around here. Go there. I'm not going to have them all done in, the next bit of time. I got 2 weeks. I don't know if I need to be packing my house. All my wife's and kids' stuff is here. They're back in Taiwan because of what I've done for the last year and a half. I actually sent them away to be with their parents or her parents. And, I knew what I was doing is not the easiest role. So I just thought, give them a little bit of time and kind of figure out how this gels, and then when, how I can shift this, this role and this duty that I'm doing, to a little bit more of a stable environment and a safer environment for my wife and kids to be around. But I look forward to having you join the church now. Write your own damn Bible. We all know what's right or wrong. This ain't that hard. And let's just go, everybody's telling me this is impossible. I'm selling 10,000 journals, which I call the Bible. 10,000 journals between September 1st and September 15th. Now, they're $111.11, plus you pay the shipping. But what I'm going to throw on top of that, my God, you'd think I'm giving away $500 worth of stuff, and you're spending $111 plus. Not to mention the opportunity to win up to $400,000 of prizes. Now, you only get drawn once, but still, there's $400,000 easily valuation of prizes that will be drawn. 1 in 10 chance of winning. I look forward to seeing you in the church now and making Kelowna this amazing little place that it is, and then bringing that Kelowna one step further. But we take care of your neighbors first, and we go one step further down the road when we get that taken care of. We go one step further down the road after. And then when we start setting this little example up in the city of just dialing it in and kind of being able to adapt to any change that comes our way, well, then we start working with the other regions that maybe could use some of our expertise. And we start looking for value opportunities. We can have mutual exchanges of value where everybody's a winner when you do a deal. Welcome to the church now.